Anybody who looks at the internet is going to see a million videos. I took 10,000 units of vitamin D for a month and this happened. But did you know that too much vitamin D can kill you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get you that upset. But not all vitamins are created equal. You see, some vitamins, like vitamin C, are water soluble. You take too much vitamin C, you're simply going to urinate it out. Well, maybe not that much, but you're going to urinate out a lot of vitamin C. Vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat solubles. The body has a harder time of getting rid of them, and they tend to store them. And unfortunately, vitamin D, for all the wonderful benefits that it has, and it is a very important vitamin, it can have the reverse effect. It can blow out your liver, your kidneys, and give you heart failure if you take too much. In this video, I'm going to be discussing what vitamin D is, what normal levels are, where we could get vitamin D from naturally, and what happens if we have too much or too little in our body. Hi, I'm Dr. Messina, and I have a favor to ask you guys. You see, I'd like to have 100,000 subscribers by the time I'm 70. I got about 3.5 years to go. So if you'll do me the favor and click the bell, give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you on the future videos. First, let's get into what vitamins really are. We have to go way back to the root of the word.
Any word, and I show you how the root of that word is Greek.
Thank you, Gus. In the earliest days of medicine, they noticed there were certain amines that were vital for life, and they called them the vital amines. And remarkably, they were not produced in the human body. They had to be ingested. And over the years, the name changed from vital amines to vitamins. And it's very important to supplement our daily vitamin intake because we don't make these vitamins, and many of them are very important for certain enzymatic reactions to occur. So let's look at vitamin D specifically. Vitamin D is an extremely important vitamin. It's interesting because it acts more like a steroid than a regular vitamin, in that it goes into your cells and it instructs the cell's DNA to turn on certain genes and turn off certain genes. Well, one of the most important functions is to allow calcium to enter the bone. If you have a deficiency of vitamin D, you're going to lose calcium in your bones, which means they're going to become thinner, more fragile. You're going to get bone fractures. You'll probably develop osteopenia. In other words, a decrease in the actual substance of the bone. It's important for proper neuronal function and proper cardiac function. Unfortunately, many food groups have very low levels of vitamin D. Eggs have vitamin D, fortified milk has vitamin D, fortified cereals have vitamin D. Also, the skin of fatty fish, such as salmon, will be rich in vitamin D. Remarkably, we also create vitamin D by sun exposure. UV light gets to certain levels of the epidermis, where cholecalciferol gets converted to calciferol. In other words, the active form of vitamin D. Unfortunately, a lot of factors go into how much vitamin D we create by UV exposure. Darker skin tones have a more difficult time, depending on where you are and how strong the sun is in your particular region. Some places you will not get any vitamin D production during the course of the entire winter. So UV exposure is really not the best thing. Plus, the fact that we use a lot of sunscreens decreases the amount of production as well. So how much vitamin D should we really take in? Well, the recommended IU, or international units, is significantly less than we find on a lot of these jars of vitamin D tablets. It's recommended at up to 12 months of age, 400 IU per day. Between 1 year and 70 years, 400 IUs per day. 800 international units for over 70 years of age. Because when you're over 70, you have a much more difficult time in creating natural vitamin D. Before you start taking vitamin D, you should have your physician order 2 blood tests, a vitamin D level and a magnesium level, because many people may be deficient in magnesium, and magnesium is a very important element to allow vitamin D to get into your cells. In fact, vitamin D is converted in the kidneys with the help of magnesium to its active calciferol form. When we look at vitamin D levels, very low would be less than 20 nanograms per deciliter. Low would be 20 to 40 nanograms per deciliter. The normal level would be 40 to 80. Elevated is 80 to 100. That elevated 80 to 100 is also the level that they like to have in people who are getting cancer treatments or people with other ailments where they want to elevate the vitamin D. And greater than 100 would be a very high level of vitamin D. So why is vitamin D so dangerous? Well, besides me talking about it as a fat-soluble vitamin, vitamin D is important for many cellular functions. It's important for immunity. Therefore, when you're deficient in vitamin D, you often catch colds, you often feel sick. It's important for good muscle tone and good neuronal tone. Therefore, when you're deficient, you might start to feel weak and tired. Your muscles might be sore. It's important for functioning of certain brain cells. Therefore, if you're very deficient, you might feel a little foggy. People that tend to have hypovitaminosis D tend to develop infections more frequently, especially colds. They also found that certain patients in the critical care unit with sepsis did better when they had normal to slightly elevated levels of vitamin D. So how could this hurt you? Well, excess vitamin D will not only hurt the liver, it will hurt the kidneys. Both sites are important areas for metabolism. It will also lead to congestive heart failure. Therefore, if you start taking excess vitamin D would be greater than 10,000 IU per day. You have the risk of developing these secondary problems. People that take too much vitamin D tend to start to lose their hair. They tend to get body aches, backaches in particular, probably because you might be putting in a little too much calcium, and once you get all those vitamin D receptors filled, you start to get a lot of free vitamin D circulating, and it's not good for you. You might also develop congestive heart failure, where you start to become short of breath with exertion because your heart can't pump efficiently anymore. You will eventually damage your kidneys as well as your liver. So too much of a good thing could be very bad for you in this instance. Therefore, you should stick with that 400 to 800 IU per day. Remember, you're going to be getting much more than the tablet. If you take a multivitamin along with a vitamin D, you're probably going to get an extra 1,000 IUs if you eat eggs, if you have some cereal for breakfast, if you have some fish. So you're going to get plenty of vitamin D. So there's no need to start taking 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 IU per day. In general, you should always stay somewhere between 2 to 4,000 units per day maximum. I hope you learned something from this video and you understand now how sometimes a good thing can become bad. Take care, and I'll see you at the next video.